Ladies and gentlemen, we are live and we are broadcasting worldwide on this Thursday, the 19th day of December, 2013, worldwide transmission. And the Lord willing, we will be here for the next 3 hours as we are Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Guest today, we are, of course, going to have the wrestler join us, Glenn Jacobs. And, of course, he's been involved with the Libertarians for a while. Kane. And I learned about a year ago that he was a listener from my old buddy Steve Lane in Tennessee, but we saw him speaking at some big national Libertarian events and thought it'd be interesting to reach out to him, so we did. He's going to come on and get us his take on the world. And then we are also going to have Paul Jenkins, who started Veteran Beer Company, where it is a company that only hires veterans so that they can actually have a job in the economy. And it's this type of idea where different groups and organizations form companies and then form coalitions where you buy from those companies if they're high-quality products that will unseat the New World Order corporatist. See, they sell us on only buying in to what they promote, what they push. And that is really the ultimate form of slavery. And that's why under Agenda 21, they're trying to shut down family farms. They're trying to shut down washing your own car. They're trying to shut down lemonade stands. It's all about making normal human activities illegal. And it's the essence of the tyranny that we face as a society. They've made Air Force bases across the U.S. and now the Marine Corps base / Army base, I guess they're both there, at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. They had a nativity scene that's been removed because troops complained. Somebody complained it was offensive. Well, if it's offensive, move to North Korea. But it's just an example of the tyranny of modern political correctness. It has nothing to do with liberty and everything to do with tyranny. I mean, where you'll see a teacher in an argument that Santa Claus isn't white saying the mythical character of Santa Claus is from the North and he's white. And then the teacher says he's white, so she's suspended. This is the political mind control. And if you look at DrudgeReport.com, they're covering Duck Dynasty, that I know is about the hottest thing since sliced bread. And it's so shocking that these guys talk about God, talk about Jesus. There's obviously been behind-the-scenes attempts to get them to shut up about it. They snubbed Barbara Walters, or one of them did. And it just shows how controlled this society is, that it's a firestorm when somebody is a Christian and says they desire a woman, not a man. I mean, whether you agree with that or disagree, it's just freedom of speech. Whatever happened to being, quote, tolerant? Well, no, tolerant now means adopting what the globalists push and social engineering. And there's a real backlash against it. With most of the young, quote, liberals I know, they're actually all getting into guns now. They're not liberals anymore, or establishment liberals. They're more classical liberals. And being anti-establishment is the way to go. I was actually having a business meeting in a restaurant / bar last night that was definitely not a Christian motif. They were playing Christian carols in the bar that normally plays rock and roll. Now, why were they doing that? Because people are sick of it. Plus, even if you're not a Christian, those are pretty sounding carols. Now, can we get some of those queued up today? I want to play some today. Because it just shows how they're just overriding any culture that the globalists don't control to sell us their plastic dead culture. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we talk about McCarthy and the Red Scare and the House Committee on, and the Senate Committee on Un-American Activities and persecuting and blacklisting people if they were communist. And it obviously went too far in some cases and was un-American. Even though those groups were trying to overthrow the republic itself, you can't become the tyranny to stop the tyranny. But he meant well, undoubtedly. And the Russian files were declassified in the last 8 years, showing, indeed, most of the people he was targeting were KGB agents. Now, That said, in this country, if you have a dart gun that shoots plastic darts, Nerf gun, in your backyard, even in areas like Texas, and a trendy sees you and friends running around playing games, cowboys and Indians, cops and robbers, that's what we played when we were kids. Now it's all basically superhero stuff. I'm the Green Lantern, I'm Galactus or whatever. I mean, I see the kids running around doing this. Or they think they're the X-Men, or they're Spider-Man versus the Goblin, the Green Goblin. You get the police called on you, you get arrested or your toy guns taken that are bright orange, and if the school gets tattled to by a neighbor, you get suspended from school and then charged with truancy when the truancy laws say if you don't go to school for on average 12 absences in a semester, that's the average state law, 16 in Texas last time I checked, then your parents can be criminally charged. So they illegally kick you out of school and then charge you with being truant for not being at school. And the parents are like lambs to the slaughter and go in and sign agreements to put their kids on probation, ruining their lives basically, while a criminal school and criminal administrators use color of law fraud to trick you into a deferred adjudication, so that when you do one thing, you automatically agree to go on probation and pay tens of thousands of dollars. This is criminal racketeering. You're like, what does that have to do with the Red Scare? When you go to have a baby, they're spying on you with the nurses putting data. Oh, do you have enough money? Getting along with your husband? I'm your friend. You can tell me, honey. You say, yeah, we've been arguing. We're broke. Your kid is gone at birth. All fraud, all criminal. All over the nation, they're pulling down nativity scenes. All over military bases. Some towns are pushing and suing to make people take crosses down off their own property, saying it's offensive. There is a total war on Christianity and the cross because they've picked that to bring it down because they believe it's above the state. Just like they've picked the M4 AR-15 as the symbol of all evil and all murder, even though it's all assault weapons are used in less than 2% of the crimes, FBI statistics. Gun crimes, 2%. It's shotguns and handguns, ladies and gentlemen, the vast majority. That's what criminals use. The average idiot criminal doesn't know how to use a gun. They use a shotgun because they can't miss. Or they want a concealed little handgun because all the dumb idiots, pimps and people, think that's the right gun to have because they see cops with them. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the fraud. They're persecuting gun owners. They're persecuting Christians. And if they can ban the M4 carbine, the AR-15, they can ban them all. And if they can, all over the nation, oh, you gave out Christmas cards that said Merry Christmas, we are suspending you. Oh, you brought a Bible to school that you were reading at lunch, we're taking the Bible and suspending you for a week. I see that article every 2 weeks. That's happening constantly. Folks, the school can't say we have an official religion and push it. You can wear a cross around your neck. You can pray to Mecca during the lunch break if you want. You can even go out in the jungle gym if you want and bow to Satan. You can worship rocks. You can worship the sky. You can worship the mountain and Crom. You can worship whatever you want under the First Amendment. And the people that call themselves liberal, that are at war with religion, are only doing it because they want to be above religion. They want the state to be God. That's what communist and fascist and authoritarian countries always do. They want to be God and have you dependent and live off the welfare check or live off the corporate check or live off the government pension fund that they can take away whenever they want, even though they took your money in 30 years of service in the military or the government or wherever, and put your money in there. They're now telling you it's an entitlement, you're not going to get it. You're just like some welfare mom. You understand that, ladies and gentlemen? And so now, this is a big deal. I saw the controversy yesterday on DrudgeReport.com, saw it all over the news after that, and now A&E has placed Duck Dynasty patriarch Phil Robertson on indefinite hiatus following anti-gay remarks he made in a recent profile on GQ. And the entire family, and I know they're listeners, I've been told they are, we ought to reach out to them now, reach out to him now. The entire family should now leave and break their contract with this channel, A&E, under the First Amendment, they'll be rock stars bigger than ever and come out with their own network, just like Glenn Beck has done. I'm telling you, you double down, do what we've done. You do not need them. You're entrepreneurs, you're smart, you're the #1 show in cable history after the Bible that was #2. You see, this is a culture war, and these globalists want to have the Bible on cable because they want the record ratings, 12, 15, 20 million viewers. I mean, NFL that hardly has that. And this show had tens of millions of viewers. And if you want to have 666 tattooed on your hands in the motorcycle shows, that's fine. Or if you want to promote in children's shows gay sex, which is pedophilia, whether it's heterosexual or homosexual, they want to be able to control things and get away with what's seen as radical, not even promoting a, quote, gay agenda. It's to overturn the old existing order to bring in the new. And if they can get the public schools in the position to teach 5-year-olds how to have anal sex, which they do, and to teach 5-year-olds how to masturbate, remember Jocelyn Elders, and 2 + 2 = 5, and all the rest of this stuff, they can do anything they want. And now they can fire, suspend indefinitely, put into the phantom zone, purgatory, the main star, the most popular guy on Duck Dynasty, and I've only watched it a few times. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I followed some of it online. I've got some of their products. I do duck hunt, at least when I have time. And the whole issue here is that this is simply outrageous. And this sets the precedent to persecute anybody they want and shut anybody they want off of television or out of media or out of government or out of industry, where they rule and control what is acceptable in this nation. And behind the scenes, they told him you can't talk about Jesus Christ. Behind the scenes, they said don't talk about God, and that's what makes it popular. Behind the scenes, imagine the show is a reality show about a successful family of entrepreneurs and hunters, and they put all this stuff on, Honey Boo Boo and all of them, to try to make Southerners and white people look bad, but instead it's backfired and been incredibly popular, and so people are now adopting this look and this culture as a rebellion against the system. Hey, it isn't perfect, but it's better than being a metrosexual getting bossed around by your wife or girlfriend all day. People are sick of it. And so what's popular is real Christianity, real rugged individualism, real Americana, libertarianism, and the system absolutely hates it. Because any culture, especially, the characters down in Mississippi and Louisiana that are from, 2 centuries ago, basically, that image doesn't fit with the system that the establishment is trying to push today. And let me tell you, I'll take the Duck Dynasty crowd over the public schools teaching 5-year-olds how to have anal sex. I'll take them any day. We have a culture of government feeding on us, spying on us, getting away with bloody murder, demonization of the founders. Look, all the other countries don't follow this, and they've turned into hellholes. And we're going down that same path because the social engineers know if they can take God away from us and guns and family, it's over. It's over. A&E has placed Duck Dynasty patriarch Phil Robinson on indefinite hiatus following anti-gay remarks he made in a recent profile in GQ. We are extremely disappointed to have read Phil Robinson's comments at GQ, which are based on his own personal beliefs and are not reflected in the series Duck Dynasty, A&E said in a statement. His personal views in no way reflect those of A&E Networks, who have always been strong supporters and champions of the LGBT community. How about of the First Amendment? The network has placed Phil under hiatus from filming indefinitely. And I'm telling you, the whole family, and I want an article out about this by Adon Salazar or Watson or any of the folks over there, or I want them all to write with their own perspective on it, on this new McCarthyism. Because the family needs to leave the show, and we need to boycott A&E. These are a bunch of anti-family, anti-God people who are anti-First Amendment. And I mean, all he said is, I don't get it. I like women, not men. Because it's offensive to people. And, well, we've all got to bow to what a minority says we should do because they're so tolerant. It's about setting the precedent, telling us what we can and can't do. The free speech zones, all of it. This is pure anti-liberty, anti-First Amendment garbage masquerading as civil rights. I mean, my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be honest with you. I've never had anything against gays and lesbians. It's never really been a big subject on my mind. If people love each other and care about each other, that's their issue. But if they were trying to sexualize small children to heterosexual activities, I would be very angry. And that's what's happening, and it's disgusting. And there is a radical element leading the, quote, gay and lesbian community on record that are dominating society, pushing their agenda, getting in everybody's face, beating everybody over the head with their religion. And I mean, I'm sorry. Just for me in my own life, sex is not what everything orbits around. I know rock and roll, that's what it's all about, all of it. And I'm, 40 years old now. Turned 40 in February. That was a long life. I was old when I was 20. Done a lot. And I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of like almost every movie or show or sitcom I happen to see or a show about remodeling houses, or I don't let my kids watch much TV, but we'll be on vacation and like flipping through kids shows channels and there'll be an agenda there. And I'm like, wow, I'm living in the Twilight Zone. And then you look at the anchors on CNN and MSNBC, and it's come out. I mean, you're not going to be a producer. You're not going to be on air unless you're in the club. And it's like, no wonder everybody's tuning out. I mean, it just kind of gets old when nothing but gay people are on television and that's the whole world. And again, the globalists in their own documents, you can look these up. We cover it in Endgame 1.5, said in the 60s, we're going to promote this agenda to reduce fertility, reduce the number of children in the family, and make the state the unifying center of life. Just like they say we're going to ban guns because only the state should have the monopoly of force. That's in UNIDIR documents, July 7th, 2001. United Nations General Disarmament Small Arms Committee. And so, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, you turn on any sitcom, any drama, the man's an idiot, the man's a moron, the woman's the boss. And let me tell you, women especially watch this, and then they repeat everything they've seen because it's like, oh, this show shows me being the boss. This show shows men being a joke. They are annihilating your partner. They are annihilating your future. They are isolating you, women. And then men buy into it. They think if they act like idiots, they'll get more women. They think they buy more Coors Light, they'll get more women. You pop a Coors at the beach and 100 women show up instantly. And the truth is you just end up with a giant pot belly living alone. And these are the images, and you can see a corporate push of banning free speech, banning Christian nativity scenes in people's own yards. They're even going after that. Banning regular human activity, banning the First Amendment. I see every few weeks someone arrested in a public school or a college or even private school because they'll write a fiction essay, usually about zombies, because that's so popular. I've told the story many times. I remember writing a story about zombies and winning an award for it in the 6th grade intermediate. And my teacher used it as an example of creative writing because myself and my friend, black friend of mine, Corey Strange was his name, sitting beside each other, started writing about zombies and about a fictitious high school and how they attacked it. Now we're in the back of a truck and shooting the zombies with shotguns. And he kind of wrote one angle of what was happening in the town in his article. And then I wrote another angle in my article. And the teacher a week later was like, look at this. You guys come up and read these stories or part of it. This is really good how they're collaborative and are like two different branches, like alternate realities of the same town, you guys working together on this article. 2 different articles. They arrest you for writing an article about shooting zombies now, saying talking about guns and shooting. If a kid's playing cooperative video games, as a case outside Austin, and makes a joke about, oh, yeah, I'm real crazy, I'll shoot up a kindergarten. No name of a school, no serious threat, no gun. They admit they know it's not a threat. It's going ahead to trial right now. What I heard yesterday on the news, the judge is still considering going to trial. It's thought crime, folks. I'm going to explain this when I come back, but I want to get your take on this. This specifically, Duck Dynasty firing the star because of his First Amendment. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. The American way is to tolerate it, but keep your culture, keep your ideas, not accept everything the globalists are pushing. Duck Dynasty star vowed to quit if A&E banned talk of God or guns. Well, now they've just basically permanently suspended him or indefinitely. A&E tried to cut Jesus from Duck Dynasty family prayers. So I said, why would you cut out in Jesus' name? See, they want to create a fake image. You know, they tell people on these reality shows why I've refused. Let's not exaggerate. More than 15 reality shows. I mean, with the contracts. Is because they will tell you got to act like a clown and act stupid or you're not going to be on the show. Don't you want to be a star? And I'm like, nope, don't want to be. Oh, hey, don't you want to host this show? Nope, don't want to do it. I'll go on and be interviewed by History Channel, Discovery Channel, CNN, whatever, about politics and information. I'll talk about things, but I'm not going to sit there and act like a clown for you. Jindal says, mess up situation when Miley Cyrus gets a laugh and Phil Robertson gets suspended. The politically correct crowd is tolerant of all viewpoints except those they disagree with. That's what Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal said of the Duck Dynasty star, Phil Robertson, being suspended by A&E. So that's what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and this is supposed to scare everybody. The sales of the records of Hank Williams Jr. only went up when he got kicked off of Monday Night Football. And they put Obama there in its place and promote Obamacare and restricting our guns. It goes on and on and on and on. And I want to get your take on this, 800-259-9231. But I got to say, ladies and gentlemen, this is a real attack on free speech. And a real attack on all of our rights. And it is absolutely shameful that a large portion of the children taken by CPS from good families, because the folks want healthy, well-adjusted kids that are 2, 3 years old, are being given, you can look at the numbers on this, to, quote, gay and lesbian families so they can have kids. Because they don't, and I mean, if you go look it up, in some states, as much as 30% of the kids being taken by CPS, places like New York, California, are being given to these couples. And literally, those of us that are heterosexual are hunted now. I mean, you know, it's bad when a couple guys roll a gay guy and beat him up to rob him because that's their excuse to do it. Just like it's wrong when black kids go beat up white people because they're white and they deserve it, and you want to rob them. You always demonize somebody you want to rob. But you're not going to see shows about all the 2- and 3-year-olds taken from mommy and daddy. And all the CPS groups delivering these children. I mean, I know there's been, right here in Travis County, law enforcement people, head law enforcement people over the years who, you know, would have 3 kids taken by CPS. 2 women married to each other, and they are literally harvesting kids right out of Travis County that they headed up. Everybody knows what I'm talking about who's in this. You know. My point is, folks, it's unbelievable. And I am literally seen like a human running through the fields in Planet of the Apes being run down with nets thrown on us. But it's all done through color of law. It's all done real cute and funny, and we're persecuted. We're persecuted, ladies and gentlemen, and if you study it, this is what happened in Rome. Homosexuality was illegal in Rome first, and then they had their golden age of the Republic. They took over the known world. Then they became decadent. It's a cycle, got into all sorts of stuff. Marrying their horses, I'll talk about that, you know. And then the Roman emperor started saying the nobility has to give us your daughters and sons to raise tax money. The rich even had to go be prostitutes for the emperor. It was the demand of sex. If you look at the biblical story of Sodom and Gomorrah, whether you believe that story or not, Sodom and Gomorrah did exist there by the Dead Sea. And there's evidence were destroyed by some calamity. and they come to the door and say to the family that had come visiting, give us your children. Then they say, by the way, who are those beautiful ones? We want them, who were angels. And my point is, whether you believe that story or not, I mean, ancient history books are replete with people coming and demanding your children. Hitler took the children. The Stalinists took the children. The Maoists took the children. The Aztecs took the children. The Druids took the children. The state always wants the children. And they're on the news introducing federal and state bills to ban homeschooling right now, saying you will get a CPS visit and have to have a license to raise your kids. It doesn't matter statistically, they're the most well-adjusted, best children. Hillary Clinton says you can't. Hillary Clinton, who on record in 1996, FBI agent quit and went public over this. We interviewed him, and it was confirmed. Photos were released, leaked by the Secret Service, of crack pipes and Mao Zedong on the Christmas tree. And that's what Satanists have always been into. Satanists have always been into defiling the other religion symbols. And I don't want to go into what they do. You want to look into what Satanists do with Christian artifacts, Christian symbols and signets. That's the essence of Satanism, is defiling other people's articles of faith. I'll just leave it at that. And that's what they do. They defile our children. They defile our temples. They defile our culture. They run all over it. And, oh, it's okay. Again, if they were trying to teach, it's a genius plan, pedophilia to first, second, third, fourth graders, and it was heterosexual, they would all be arrested at these public schools. But because it's federal curriculum and it's done to create inclusion, they can sexualize your tiny child as pervert operators. And even if the teachers and people aren't pervert operators themselves, consciously, they follow it and they do it as part of their political correct religion. Democrats are saying they're signing up for Obamacare. They'll pay double, triple, whatever it takes as a sacrament to their Lord and Savior, their Messiah, as Barbara Walters and Jamie Foxx and all of them call him. He is a Messiah. And what did he do at the gay and lesbian events they have every few weeks at the White House? They always have like 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds introduce it. And it's always 2 little boys or 2 little girls. It's never 1 boy, 1 girl. Imagine having an event about heterosexual sex or an event for sex outside marriage. They'll say, we're going to promote that. It's a good thing, according to them. Here, we have a little boy and a little girl together. What's the message of that? Up front, everyone looking at them. Oh, let's have 2 little boys at one, the next 2 little girls, with all these people looking at them going, you're part of the cult. And now the UN's lobbying, and NAMBLA is a part of it, the North American Man-Boy Love Association. They're lobbying in universities, and they had the major medical journals. Remember, it just came out, the major psychology journal, Psychiatry Journal, the National Psychiatry Journal. Pull it up, Psychiatry Journal says pedophilia not a psychological disorder. No, it's a crime. It's people preying on the innocent, destroying their innocence, destroying their development, wrecking them so they don't have innocence and don't have free will. I mean, it's disgusting. Oh, saying you like a woman to look beautiful, that's anti-feminist. But if you want to sexualize a 5-year-old, that's just fine. It's all this fake, moral, high ground garbage. Manly men are bad. Womanly, alluring women are bad. But let's teach first graders how to masturbate. This happened in the U.S., still ongoing in Europe, where they have the little kindergarten and first grade time where you take a 30-minute nap after lunch. I remember doing that, and let me tell you, they didn't have the teacher teach you how to play with yourself. And don't talk about stuff like this because I'm not hung up on sex, folks. These people are perverts and are hung up on sex. And I'll tell you, most of these so-called liberals come from highly religious families that use it as a tool of control to traumatize them. And so now they are perverts, ladies and gentlemen, who are completely uncomfortable in their bodies and literally get off on doing the nastiest stuff they can, the most unhealthy lifestyles they can, gift givers, gift receivers, bug chasers, men trying to give each other HIV and trying to give it to others and trying to give blood so they can give the gift, and people criticize giving the gift, and they're homophobic because they're saying don't go out and kill yourself and kill others? What? Well, then I am homophobic. If homophobia means don't teach pedophilia, if homophobia means don't go out and try to have 100 sex partners a week in unprotected sex, then I am a homophobe, ladies and gentlemen. Need to get that straight. I am phobic of hepatitis. I am phobic of HIV. I am phobic of death. The truth is, I don't dislike these individuals that are out there caught in this and these destructive lifestyles that just get worse and worse statistically. You know who the #1 group is in this country who has the lowest life expectancy of any group? It's gay men. Now, can you show well-adjusted people that are, yeah, but the point is statistically, it's destructive, and if you say that, you lose your TV show. And again, I never talk about this stuff. I'm forced to because of the full-out, continual assault against civilization. And again, for people out there that are naturally like this or going back to ancient times, it's not just the chemicals in the water and the food. This stuff's always gone on. It's always been in the military. It's the obsession with it is what I don't like. And the total assault of it. It's like a fad that's been a fad for 100 years, and I'm sick of hearing about it, man. I am sick of it. It's like I'm tired of a boyfriend and a girlfriend who will go stand in front of the windows of your office every day from the place next door and kiss in front of everyone and grab on each other. I guarantee you they're not going home and actually doing anything. I'm telling you, they want to do it in public as some weirdo display. And I'm irritated by that. I'm sick of it. Now, if you're out at the beach and it's sunset and you see a couple out the end of a pier really kiss each other, that is romantic and sexy. But it's the difference of just the fakeness and the plasticness of it and the artificiality and how it's being force-fed. Man, I don't want to be force-fed anything. And it's not because I hate people. And I want to make that clear. It's not that I'm politically correct and want to go, I promise I'm not hateful. Be nice, like me. I don't care if you like me. I'm all about reality and telling you what I really think. I don't like the fact that I'm raising 3 children in a country bombarded with this stuff and that my children end up hearing my show. My son's here today and shouldn't be thinking about this. This is bull. This is sick. Man, you don't go over and ask people what insurance they've got or what religion they are. You don't walk up to random people and ask them what their favorite dish is because it's not your business and it's weird. You don't walk over to random people and ask what their blood type is. You don't walk over to random people and ask how much money they got in the bank account. And you sure don't go into kindergartners and first graders and beat them over the head, teaching them how to do stuff I can't even say on the radio. Yeah, there it is. Wisconsin schools teach 4th graders about masturbation. Oh, it's a lot worse. People go, hey, it's natural, big deal, get them over it. It isn't the state's job to do that. My God, is there nothing we won't put up with? Please, sweet Lord, help us. I'm not using the Lord's name in vain. I'm calling out to God here. That's all the fake thumpers out there, too, that want to make you feel like you're guilty and bad, so you'll go to their church and bow to them when they're not fighting evil. And they say, if you say, oh, my Lord, help us. Oh, don't use the Lord's name in vain. When I'm not using the Lord's name in vain, I'm calling out involuntarily, God, help us, heal us, help us repent. Sweet Jesus, help us.
I thought that he was going to be, I shouldn't say this at Christmas time, but the next Messiah. And the whole Obamacare, or whatever you want to call that, affordable health.
Abominable.
It just hasn't worked.
That's enough. That's enough. I'm going to go to break. Come back and go to your calls. And then we have a guest coming on, Paul Jenkins, CEO, Veteran Beer Company, veteranbeercompany.com. I want to get him on at 20 after, so I have time to take calls. That's when I want to get these guests on, is 20 after a lot of times. I know I keep changing that on you. Let's get him on so I have time in this next segment. The next segment after that, take calls on the whole Duck Dynasty thing. As some stations join us in the second and third hour, I want to bring back in this whole First Amendment issue. Then I've got all this other news I haven't covered yet. But we're going to have those guys on, Veteran Beer Company, for about 20, 30 minutes. And then we'll continue with calls. And then one of the most famous wrestlers out there, Not just Jesse Ventura or Rowdy Piper, who's been on the broadcast, both listeners and now friends of mine, well, friends for a long time, Jesse Ventura, Glenn Jacobs. And, of course, he is Kane, very popular. And I almost went out and saw him in Austin a few nights ago when he was here, but just couldn't do it. Had too much family stuff, too much family in the hospital with this mystery disease we're going to be getting into, breaking down. They've confirmed my uncle has the mystery disease. They've sent it off to the federal government and can't find out what's in his lungs. Yeah, Kane's a libertarian patriot. Plays a bad guy on the stage in the physical ballet of wrestling, the sport of wrestling, but is a patriot in the real world. So he'll be joining us, and that's JacobReport.com, under construction, Twitter at Jacobs Report. Of course, our Twitter's at Real Alex Jones. Briefly, before I come back and go right to your calls, you need to support the First Amendment. You need to support independent media so they can't censor us. And we fund ourselves 100% with the support of viewers like you. Going and getting our awesome Patriot Blend, Wake Up America coffee in the 1-pound bags. They've also got a mushroom immune support blend that tastes great and is wonderful. This is my favorite coffee, so I got it delivered in and private labeled at a lower price than leading competitors right out of Chiapas, Mexico. And it helps the farmers down there as well. It's beyond free trade, beyond fair trade. InfoWarsLife.com. And we also have the Nascent Iodine Pure Atomic Form. It's purple blue, not black or red. It's done wonders for me and my family, just like Dr. Grip said it would. Try it. You're supporting the broadcast, and I really think you'll be blown away. We've got nothing but positive feedback. I've never had anything that was 100% positive. It hasn't. In 3 months, nothing negative yet. I've never seen a phenomenon like this. And we have the new product, the Fluoride Shield, not just the Survival Shield, that has the Nascent Iodine in a double-size 2-ounce bottle. The Fluoride Shield's only a 1-ounce bottle. The Survival Shield is a 1-ounce bottle. The Fluoride Shield is a 2-ounce bottle, and it's got 5 other ingredients, Shilajit and other key things that hyper detoxify you with the Nascent Iodine. You can take both together, but there's Nascent Iodine in this as well. And it's 2 ounces, but only $10 more. So a giant savings of $20 on that. Fluoride Shield, InfoWarsLife.com. And your purchase supports the broadcast. You can also call toll-free and ask any questions or order via the telephone, 888-253-3139. 888-253-3139. Your phone calls, Chris, Lee, Anthony, and others straight ahead. Scientists, doctors, children, genius level. The state comes, arrests their parents, sends them back to Germany where the state takes them. The state now orders women who are unemployed to be prostitutes in Germany. You think I'm joking? Just type in women in Germany ordered by state to become prostitutes. That's the welfare state. Once they've bankrupted things, got you under their control, they say, hook 'em, baby. This is feminism. But a man being the head of the household's bad. But when the state says, you hit the street, I'm your pimp, a woman hits the street. And that's liberal. And when Obama drops bombs on Libya, it's liberal. You got to learn how to be liberal, folks. I think you could rob a bank and shoot people and say you're liberal. They might actually think blood on the ground's a red carpet for you. I mean, it's that sick with these freaks. Chris, Lee, Anthony, Isaiah, Mateo, we're going to all of you. Chris in New York, tell us your take on the new red terror in America as they try to ban free speech.
It's already gone, Alex. I mean, the problem is the people are so stupid in this country anymore because they go to work like sheep. They get stuck in traffic, an hour there, an hour back. They sit at a desk all day. They come home. They put on the news. They listen to the wrong news.
Their kids play video games. Yeah, we don't communicate. Everyone is being programmed by the fake culture that's artificial.
Now Mattel or somebody came out with an iPad holder that goes over the baby's bouncer seat. That's how you're supposed to entertain your kids now. Is hand them an iPad.
Oh, no. When I go to a restaurant, they've got 1.5, 2-year-olds all sitting there playing with it, and the doctors all admit in studies it brain damages them. Doesn't matter, though. It's liberal.
The reason my main call was is about the Duck Dynasty thing. I mean, A&E, this is how stupid that these corporations are. They have a guy and a family who has brought so much money to their network and has brought... These people are like superstars now, and it still has not changed the way that they are. But you get one womanized person to complain about what the guy said, and he didn't even come out and blatantly say anything really bad.
But listen, they're not stupid. I know it seems like that to a normal person. Their number one mission is you don't have free speech. Do you understand? Their mission is you shut up, you do what we say, you don't criticize our agenda, because once the precedent's set on gays or on Christmas, they can ban anything they want by fiat. Do you understand?
Absolutely. Another thing I wanted to mention is my daughter, she came home with homework the other day, and I'm a very staunch oppositionist to Common Core, but they gave her, it was called an ELA, an expanded learning assignment, and they wanted her to describe a hero and a role model and how they got that way. And guess who the subject was? Justin Bieber. So I wrote a nice note to the teacher that my daughter's not going to be doing any reports on a role model of Justin Bieber.
And again, this is what the military does. They have these questionnaires they give you on computers that then flip all the intel and flip all the info over to where they ask all the questions and then they describe who a hero is. Absolutely, it's total programming. But hey, that sounds like better than 2 + 2 = 4. What, you don't think Justin Bieber, total moron who looks like he's wearing a man's diaper, I mean, you don't think that Justin Bieber's a hero?
No, I don't. But the issue is that the American people are not going to change until something happens to them, unfortunately. And I've been a long-time listener to you, and I'm a Prison Planet subscriber, and my friend turned me on to you about 2 years ago, and when I first started listening, I was like, you know, what's this guy talking about? But now I listen to you every day, and I got my mother on to you and my family.
Well, God bless you, brother. Second hour coming up. We're all in this together. Stay with us. I mean, you have an opinion. That is not allowed, and you lose your #1 TV show in the country. That's Duck Dynasty. They've kicked one of the brothers out, one of the most popular, the patriarch, as they call him. And the answer is for the whole family to leave the stinking show. They already have tons of money from their products. They don't need this. And it would be a shot across the bow that would bring the system really to its knees, doubling down against these people. And that's what I'm calling for. A boycott of A&E. Look, I'm telling you, these guys have the clout to go out and start their own hunting and fishing channel, and they'll make 10 times the money and say whatever they want. And that's the beginning of the end. That's what I've been saying for a decade. That's what Glenn Beck adopted on record, taking a lot of our ideas, which I'm proud of. I'm glad. He's got more organization, more money, more talented in many ways. And that's what we're going to do down the road. This is the future, what you're seeing here. Major trade publications point that out. That's why they want to censor us. But we've got to dominate and take over before they're able to do that. Let's go to Anthony in Ohio. Anthony, thanks for calling in today.
Okay, excellent, Alex. It's a privilege.
Privilege to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I have 3 comments to make, and I think they're 3 pretty powerful comments.
Sure, make them.
So the number one thing is that political correctness has nothing to do about being polite. It has everything to do with controlling the language. Okay, the top philosopher of the 20th century, Ludwig Wittgenstein, he basically, if I could summarize his whole philosophy, he said language is everything. So it goes all the way back to 1917 communism. You know, Trotsky, Lenin, Yagoda. They had
sure, that's what George Orwell, I'm going to go to your other 2 points. George Orwell, it was all about Ingsoc. They were in that system, they were reducing the language down to at a certain point, there would only be emotions the party could program, because words then give meaning in the mind to where you can have complex ideas. So they're 2 + 2 = 5. They are literally, right out of 1984, that's communist, hardcore re-education camp brain damage. To where they can hold 2 ideas simultaneously in their mind that are opposing each other. They are literally frying their brains. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's basically they have a party line, and the communists say, hey, here's the good guys in their words, here's the bad guys in their words. If you say one of the bad words, you're going to lose your job. You're going to lose your TV show. Don't say any of the bad words, and that's all it comes down to.
And then once they get you to accept a few bad words that people think, oh, let's be nice, let's not say that, then they can move it on to say mommy and daddy's now a hateful word, ban that. And listen, Al Gore's back out saying the North Pole melted, and he was right. Okay, now, it's the thickest ever recorded in modern time. Al Gore says it melted because he is following a party line. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll just go on to my second point. So the second point is, right in the Bible where Jesus says, basically, build your house on the rock or build your house on the sand. And the fact is that a nuclear family, beautiful children, love, commitment, that is your house on the rock. So if somebody throws rocks at your house, they're not going to hurt your house. But it's like these homosexuals, they have a glass house, they have a house of cards, and they're scared to death of people throwing stones at their house.
And they think if we adopt what they're doing, that will suddenly make it okay.
Yeah, exactly. The guy from Duck Dynasty, I don't even watch the show, but I'm really upset about it. The comment he made, he basically says, I prefer a woman over a man's behind. And that's basically 2 + 2 = 4. That's common sense. Come on.
It's like saying, I prefer this hamburger place over that one. It's actually kind of a statement like, it's a little funny. God bless you. Great points. Anything else?
Well, I just wanted to say that, actually, I did have one more big point.
Stay there. Recap your first two. Finish your third. When we come back with Anthony, then Isaiah, Mateo, Tim Lee, and others. More terrorist music taking us in the middle of the dark and like the smell of the evergreen, remembering the green of the summer that was coming. That's even banned. And again, if someone brings cards, which is their free right to hand out stuff, they say, oh, separation of church and state. You're now part of the state within this school, within this college. Hey, it's getting popular on colleges. It's actually kind of mean to rednecks and folks, but it's fun. I did it in college, to dress up and go to a party where you dress up like hillbillies and black out your teeth and wear, rebel flags and stuff. That's being banned. People are being suspended. That's really racist. No, it's not. Oh, can't be a geisha girl, can't be a cowboy, can't be an Indian. That's going to hurt a cowboy's fault. Again, it's total control where they say, you do what we say. You do what we want. I went to the movies a few weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, to see The Hobbit. We're going to go back to your calls here in a moment. The Desolation of Smaug, incredible effects. That dragon's amazing. And Smaug, the old worm, or Smog, and I guess the old English is worm. And they had Danny DeVito at the Alamo Drafthouse, this chain of theaters that started in Austin or now nationwide, where you can, get food and drinks. And they always have a famous person. I've done it a couple times, and they've asked me, say, hi, the movie's coming up, and if you talk during the movie, I'm going to kill you. Or we're going to bash your brains out, or we're going to have the government take you away, is what I said as a joke. It was Danny DeVito, and he says, listen, if you talk during the movie, we're going to come in here and cut your tongue out. Now, that's obviously literary. It's obviously a point you're making. But, ladies and gentlemen, if you do an essay in public school, elementary, junior high, high school, and write a fictitious army story with people being, shot, or draw a picture in art class of your dad who's a Marine Corps captain. These are all real cases. Or bring a plastic Dixie knife that your mom puts in your lunch to spread butter. You will be arrested. There's no law. They interpret it and say it's a threat. And they go, well, we saw Columbine. Yeah, but they don't want to get you off Prozac or all the Ritalin or all those drugs. They don't want to get you off the shoot-'em-up video games, or that it's all leftist devil worshiper socialists. The guy last week went to shoot up the conservatives in the debate team. That came out, but didn't get national attention. No. Let's not profile who's doing this. Let's blame everybody and take everyone's free speech and rights away, while the globalists, kill a citizen, shoot the wrong woman in the back of the house on a fake drug raid, or do proctology exams on the side of the road looking for drugs the government shipped in to begin with. Oh, that's just collateral damage, just an accident. Let's not worry about that. When they kill you, it's an accident. When they kill you, it doesn't matter. But when you say, I like women, I just don't understand all this gay thing everywhere. I don't know what's going on. Oh, you're fired from your #1 show in TV history on cable. As in the case with Duck Dynasty patriarch Phil Robinson. And the answer here is for the whole family to quit and leave, and all of us boycott these people and break their back, or they win. He's the most popular guy on the show. It looks like going to see The Hobbit or something with the dwarves. Those guys Peter Jackson should just go hire them. Oh, now I'm being mean to hillbillies. I'm being insensitive. Grow up! The system wants everybody so afraid of hurting somebody's feelings. We're all basically sitting here urinating on ourselves in a fetal position, scared to death. The answer to all this tyranny is more free speech. The answer to restricting free speech is to double down. And I'm going back to your calls. Anthony wanted to finish up the 3 points he was making. Isaiah, Mateo, Tim, Lee. I'm going to get to Ollie, then a guest is popping in, then back to the calls. But this is social engineering. They want to end the family, have the state be the family. Social engineering, that's the official plan. And now they're announcing banning homeschooling, arresting homeschooling parents, the legislation. They're going on the news saying your kids aren't yours. They're doing it. It's happening. It isn't coming. It's here. And we have to resist it and say no and stop laying down to it. We have to get aggressive. Americans have been freer than many other nations because we were ruthlessly independent, ruthless individuals who were rugged and would rather die than submit to tyranny. You know, they even have like encyclopedias on Texas history, and they've got county encyclopedias. And I'm not bragging. In fact, I haven't read them all, but it's like reading an old Western novel, a Louis L'Amour or something, with just all these sides of my family and the stuff they did and how nice they were and how serious they were. And then if somebody cheated them or did anything, then they just killed them. I mean, it was just like, and that was just automatic. I mean, it was like, you cross us, you're dead. And that's why this country was so much freer, because people didn't play games, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you didn't smart off to somebody because you were going to fight to the death if you did, as a course of honor. And I look at what we do today, how we grovel. I look at crowds of people, how scared they are now and how timid and how insecure, because they've never really lived. They just watch television their whole life. They live in glowing rooms watching other people in fake scripts, engineering and data loading baloney into their minds. And I watch smart people I know at a conscious level that are totally captured by fads and whatever's being pushed. And they are literally in the matrix. Let's go to your calls. Anthony, go ahead and make your 3 points.
Okay, Alex. So my third point is people need to realize there's a difference. I think the whole zeitgeist of our time is there's a big difference between the packaging and the substance. So, for example, in 2008, the mortgages, the packaging, oh, they're AAA. The substance, they're toxic. You see it in the store all the time. What's the packaging on Coke cans, for example? Oh, 0 calories, it's great. The substance, aspartame, poison. But then with homosexuality, it's the same thing. What's the packaging that they wrap it up in? Rainbows, gay, which used to mean happy. What's the substance? Well, the CDC statistics, the top 3 risk groups for HIV/AIDS in America, the number 1 risk group, homosexual white men. The number 2 risk group, homosexual black men. The number 3 risk group, homosexual Hispanic men. I mean, it's just a fact. It's statistics,
You're absolutely right, and you made your 2 earlier points. And again, if we state facts, we're attacked. And it's not that we hate anybody. I'm sick of being bombarded with this 24/7 in open social engineering. And the globalists don't care about gay people. They put HIV out in hepatitis vaccines in the 1970s in New York. That's been partially declassified. That's a group they target. Look at the prisons getting the blood supply from those folks and then putting it in the hemophiliac medicine with Bayer Pharmaceuticals. This is a cold-blooded anti-human agenda. And it's really scary. It really is scary. Let's go ahead now. And the truth is, folks, they don't want babies. They don't want you born. They want you dead. And that's what this is all about. Let's go ahead and go to another caller. Isaiah in Oklahoma, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex. How's it going?
Good, brother.
I read the article this morning on Drudge Report, and this is so critical because it brings to the forefront the biggest problem we face as humanity, and that is that there is no political solution to a spiritual problem. And we face the biggest spiritual warfare in this country. The key to the shaft of the bottomless pit is about to be opened, and we need to turn to Christ. and you need to get Steve Quayle on the show as soon as you can. Because
yeah, guys, will you call Steve Quayle and get him on the show? I've been asking for a while. I don't know what's going on, but just boom, I want to get him. Phone number's right over there. Anything else, sir?
That's it, Alex. We just need to turn to Christ.
All right, let's go ahead and talk to Mateo in Nebraska. You're on the air.
Alex.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Worldwide broadcast.
You are the king, brother.
No, I'm not. Go ahead. What's your point about this?
Well, Duck Dynasty is just a facade. I mean, this whole gay culture, this whole gay thing, it's trendy to be gay. Everyone wants to be gay nowadays because it's trendy. That's the biggest thing I want to say.
No, and it's trendy to get a microchip, and it's trendy to have Obamacare, and it's trendy to jump off a cliff, and it's trendy to slit your wrist, and yeah.
Obama is gay. I'm sure you've seen the videos on YouTube. It's the fact.
Oh yeah, no, it's not that. I mean, Hillary, Obama, they're going after anything that moves. I don't think they're. I mean, it's historic. Look at the Romans and stuff. I mean, I don't think it's just humans. I mean, it's swinging from the chandeliers over there.
I used to live in Rome, Italy, and I'll tell you what. Being gay is a European socialist movement. It's all about pleasure now. Don't worry about tomorrow. So, that's the way it is.
Yeah, no, it's nihilistic because they want us all living like that so that we don't think about the future or families. It's a psychological takeover. And that isn't an indictment of individuals. It's a fact that we're being force-fed this, and people that are in it feel like they're part of a winning team, but statistically, they're the most unhappy people out there.
Exactly. And my biggest question to you is, why don't you cover Sandy Hook more? I mean, you always preach about guns, and everything about you is about this, the Second Amendment. And Sandy Hook is the biggest attack. Why isn't that covered more on your program?
Well, sir, we have covered Sandy Hook since it happened last year. Probably, let's not exaggerate, 800, 1,000 times. I mean, we have viral videos out on it. So I just indefinite suspension of the main Duck Dynasty star because he dare say that he likes women. That's the ultimate thought crime. Also, KHOU 11 reports on this mystery disease. I want to open the phones up later specifically. If you know about all the weird deaths from this respiratory thing that is not flu, and they can't identify what it is. It killed my cousin, and my uncle's been in the hospital for several weeks over this, and they cannot identify what it is. I called it a mystery illness weeks ago. Killing people all over the country, but really bad in Texas. So that's up on Infowars.com. Now, I wanted to get him on because there's a lot of charities out there. I like the Salvation Army. Most of the money you give them, actually, in the studies, over 90% actually goes to poor people and helps people. But I see all these veterans groups, and a lot of it's turned out to be fraud. You've seen it in the news, or a third of the money goes, or with Bill Clinton's charity for Haiti, half the money goes for his jet aircraft fleet. So you just pay for Bill Clinton to jet set around the world. I mean, it's truly evil. But what I really like is when you have groups that are farmer-owned down in southern Mexico where almost all the money to buy the beans, say with the coffee we put out, Wake Up America blend from southern Mexico, my favorite type of coffee bean. Folks are concurring with it, by the way. It's really amazing coffee. That way you're actually going right to people and building an economy, not just in the U.S., but in North America as well. I want to build up Mexico's economy and build them up and then build up America, not just bring in poor people and collapse America. But you see all these different veterans groups out there collecting money, and some are good, some aren't. But the idea of veterans getting together who in many cases can't get jobs or are disabled in this bad economy, and then producing high-quality products is the way to go. Just like supporting real media, libertarian media, patriot media, free media, is the way we have the alternative media take over and become the dominant media, which is now happening. So Paul Jenkins joins us. He's the chief executive officer of VeteranBeerCompany.com. I haven't tried the beer yet. I've been cutting back for weight reasons, but I'm sure it's going to be great. I'm going to get some shipped to me. He's a disabled Navy veteran. Paul left the military after 14 years and to accept the position of director for police department. Upon leaving public service, he moved into private enterprise, and he joins us now. He's been working in the aerospace industry, you name it. International crisis resolution. He currently leads Bancroft Architects and Engineers, a disabled veteran-owned small business that employs disabled veterans at each of its 6 offices across the country. Paul's undergraduate degree is engineering from the United States Naval Academy with advanced degrees from the University of Chicago. So that's a great school there at the University of Chicago. Milton Friedman, the whole 9 yards. VeteranBeerCompany.com. We got a few minutes before break. We'll come back and really get into it after the break. But Paul, thanks for coming on. In a nutshell, tell us about the beer company you're launching, because I see this as revolutionary.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's something that I think is meaningful, and it was important. There's a crisis in veteran unemployment in America, and what we decided to do was, rather than sit around and wait for someone else to handle our problems, we figured we would just handle them ourselves, and that's really the whole concept behind the company.
And it's called Premium American Lager and has the V for victory from World War II in red, white, and blue. I like it.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, it's everything you see, the packaging, all designed by veterans. The graphic arts, the beer is brewed by veterans. Every employee in the company is a veteran and always will be. Owned by veterans, always will be. The bylaws are written that way, and it's our objective to be America's largest selling beer.
Oh, you got Blonde Bomber. That looks really delicious.
Yes, sir. That's the Blonde Ale. November 11th, we went to market with 2 beers in Indiana and Illinois. The lager, that's called the Veteran, and the Blonde Bomber, which is a blonde ale. And they've just been getting rave reviews everywhere, in part because our brewer, a U.S. military veteran, Marine Corps disabled, is just one of the most credentialed brewers you could ever ask to find.
So it's a premium lager. Tell me about its taste.
Yeah, the lager itself has got this rich caramel color, 5% alcohol by volume, so it's an easy drinking beer that you can have while you're watching a game or a sporting event, a concert. It's light on the tongue. The carbonation is a little sharper than mainstream beers. Eric Ryan, our brewer, has used only premium ingredients. He's hand-selected everything that goes in. There's no filler. There's no adjunct. There's nothing cheap about this beer. And the reason that we've introduced it in the way that we have is so that people can immediately recognize the quality, and we're going to keep driving the price of that beer down.
Well, it's exciting. I mean, instead of giving a man fish, teach him how to fish. We need to see more of this. Veteran companies, veteran-run, veteran-owned. We're going to be right back to talk to Paul Jenkins more about this amazing idea he had. It's already a big success. 2 + 2 = 5 on the night before Christmas. Paul Jenkins is our guest for another 6-7 minutes. Then I'm going to get back into the latest breaking news and your phone calls. Toll-free number to join us, 800-259-9231. And, folks, I didn't just get this fella on because, it's for veterans and we're paying lip service to it. The real way to help veterans, because everybody pays them lip service, is to go out to veteran-owned type companies and support them if they have high-quality products. And this looks like high-quality products to me. And all the veterans I've hired have turned out to be my best hardworking crew members that are dedicated and focused. I've just found that. And so I don't want to say we have a preference towards veterans, but they certainly end up going to the top of the list and being our best crew members here at the Infowars.com operation. So, Paul, let me give you the floor to break down the company and what you've done. But this is revolutionary just for Made in America. We've come out with our Made-in-1776.com brand of totally Made in America clothing. This is how we can take America back, is buying America and then also buying from pro-liberty organizations and pro-veteran organizations. And if people just start doing this, we'll rebuild our country very, very quickly.
Alex, you're right. Those things that you talk about on a daily basis really resonated with us. It's so important to do the right thing and not just what feels good. It's easy to stand up and cheer when you see the veteran on the Jumbotron. It's much harder to say, where does that veteran fit into my organization? It's easy to make a donation to an organization that might have good intentions. But listen, Make-A-Wish is for people who are going to die, not for veterans who are going to be living in America for the next 40 or 50 years looking for work. And so what we're doing is we're providing not jobs, we're providing careers. And what we're trying to do is, of course, exclusively in-house, every employee will be a veteran. But our supplier partners, wherever possible, we're doing just what you say. We are using veteran-owned small businesses to provide our paper products, our printing products. We are using suppliers who commit to us that they will hire veterans in every fill that they've got after they sign contracts with us. And again, so at the end of the day, it's not about making a standing ovation or a small donation somewhere. It's about taking care of people who volunteered to defend the rights and the freedoms that we've all enjoyed.
Well, I'm going to get a 12-pack for Christmas. Hopefully I can still get it in time, and a toast to you guys. And I got a sneaking suspicion if the beer tastes as good as the bottling and packaging looks. I got to say, that's about the sexiest beer packaging I've ever seen. I mean, that is a good-looking package, so I hope the package, the contents match the package.
I promise you they do. And people have talked about the backstory to the beer. The fact that we're all veterans and most of us are disabled veterans at this point in the company. The beer is way better than the packaging even, and the backstory. The packaging is popular, and that's we've been selling out of a lot of our products, T-shirts and sweatshirts and things. And I'll make sure you get beer. And I'll go ahead and make a gentleman's agreement with you, a bet with you, sir. It'll be your favorite beer.
Well, I can't wait to try it out because, again, we need to bring America back across the board, from art to industry to food products, across the board. And I mean, this is something I really have seen success with. And, of course, the entire Buy America campaign. Other points you'd like to make, sir, in closing about the new venture that's already been such a success?
Yes, sir. We're so proud of the people, and that's what it is. We've tried to build the company in a way that we would like to see the country be built, based on some of the military principles. We give 10%. We are a for-profit entity, but we're a B Corp, so we are committed to the mission over our profits, and the mission is to employ and give careers to veterans. 10% of net goes to veteran-supported charities. And then I wrote the company bylaws so that we have term limits. Everyone in the company has 10 years either to move up, be promoted within the company, or move out. And so I founded, and I funded a company that I'm going to turn over to the next generation in less than 10 years.
Very exciting, Paul Jenkins. And, of course, you can go to the website, veteranbeercompany.com, and it looks like we just crashed your site. I hope it comes back up.
I promise you I'll have it back up shortly.
It just went back up.
Veterans doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just went back up. Well,
yes,
we've crashed many a site. Of course, I know you've been on Good Morning America and Fox News, everything else. Thank you so much for the time, sir.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you. Guys, be sure and email them our address. I want some of those sweatshirts, and I'll give the beer away. I'll try one. I'm really lost some weight, folks. I haven't been drinking, and I've been exercising more and taking my iodine. Yeah, 50 cal bottle opener. What is that? They have that? Oh, let me see that. That's smart. Wow. Thank you so much, Paul Jenkins.
Alex, it's a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Oh, hey, real fast. I didn't know you were still there. Tell us about the 50 cal bottle opener.
What we're trying to do is integrate things that were part of our daily lives in the military. And that 50 cal bottle opener is sourced through a veteran-owned small business. It's a guy that makes those for us. They're beautiful. They're polished. They're engraved with our logo, and they sell like hotcakes. I mean, people can't get enough of them. And again, it's another way of reminding people what life is like as a U.S. military veteran.
Awesome. God bless you. We'll talk again soon, Paul.
You too, sir. Thank you.
All right, there you go, folks. And the wrestler Glenn Jacobs, known as Kane, the Libertarian Patriot, Ron Paul supporter, he's going to be coming on in the next hour. I want to go to your phone calls here in a moment, but we need to hit some of the news first here. And there's a bunch of economic news I want to get into here. Moody's, that's one of these big rating agencies, has lowered New Jersey debt outlook to negative, citing slow recovery. Yeah, we're in a depression because of globalism, which was designed to make us destitute on record. Wall Street's analysts at Moody's Investors Service today lowered their outlook for New Jersey's debt from stable to negative, saying the state remains hamstrung by rising costs and sluggish economic recovery, despite Governor Chris Christie's efforts. Yeah, which is only slashing benefits to the people, not corporate welfare. So that's the plan. And speaking of corporate welfare, ladies and gentlemen, This is a report out of CNBC. Buffett's wealth soared $37 million a day in 2013, mainly from government banker bailouts and government subsidies. Warren Buffett is the biggest personal all-time recipient of bailouts and stimulus funds in the last 6 years, or 5 years since 2008. And the other guys that got all their government funds here are Bill Gates and others, and they have them listed right there. So things are really, really going well for them. Very, very interesting. Things are good for them. Those are the folks that lobby to raise your taxes every single day. Speaking of police state news, I want to get to a report where in Georgetown, Ohio, I saw a case out of Georgetown, Ohio, probably about 15 years ago. That was about 1998, where a guy was walking through a Walmart parking lot, if I remember correctly, because it was a clipping out of the Associated Press. I got out of the local paper here in Austin, had the story. They thought it was good, though. They were agreeing with it in there, basically. It was written dryly. And a police dog, the window was rolled down, and the dog stuck its head out and almost bit the guy, growling and stamping. And the guy said, "Shut up, dog," which is what you're supposed to do. I had some guy with 2 pit bulls on the Greenbelt a few weeks ago come right up growling, and I went, "Get back, dog, get back." And the guy kind of got mad. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Then the next group of people yelled, "Get back, dog." And then, of course, I ran into the same woman that's been down there before with her 5 German Shepherds, and they came over and started growling at some guy, and he yelled at them, and she got mad again. Not at me. It's just like, all right, I'll just roll over, show my neck to the dog. But it's that same place where they arrested him for verbally assaulting an officer, even though the statute didn't say that, and threw him in jail for yelling back at the god. And speaking of Georgetown, Ohio, Brown County coroner says a key piece of video evidence taken moments before an inmate's death was deleted by the county jail. The missing video is one of 3 pieces of jail surveillance that show Zachary Goldson during the last 30 minutes of his life. 24-year-old was found hanging by a bed sheet in the adult detention center on October 5th, 9 days after his arrest. And it goes on, though, they were able to find other videos. The video was captured by 2 motion-activated cameras at the jail. We have video of that. You can roll that in the background if you like, which gave a view from the hallway outside of his cell. Is missing, deleted by the sheriff's office. But now they've been able to find some of the other security and a dash cam video and a lot more. We have several videos showing this type of thing go on. Now, moving on here, folks, to some of the other articles that we have here. We have lawsuit. Woman faced illegal body cavity search, observed bowel movement. And that's like the case we saw last week where they did 8 probes of this man in the hospital. And, of course, didn't find any of the drugs. And my whole issue is the majority of the drugs are being shipped in by the big banks and laundering it, and they keep it illegal to keep the price up, and then to create a drug culture where it's all we've got running in our economy now, and then the criminals run prostitutes and break in your house and run rackets, and it's just organized crime at the end of the prohibition with alcohol was illegal, needed something else to do, so they got laws passed to make drugs illegal. And they used the PTA and Christian groups to help lobby for it. Before that, you could buy cocaine, heroin, opium at the local store. And you could do whatever you wanted to, and there was much less drug use. And it was dirt cheap. So this is the type of stuff that's going on in our society. Let's go to Lee in Canada. Lee, you're on the air. Thanks for holding. I guess you want to call about Duck Dynasty being censored for not serving political correctness.
Hey, Alex. Listen about that. I'm a firm believer that A&E has, well, first of all, like with their Breaking Amish, they have, they're totally brought out. It's on record. It was all false. It was all a lie. You can't trust anything that comes from these mainstream TV channels. I'm actually, like, you touched on this earlier. I'm actually about global warming and Al Gore again. I'm 100 kilometers south from where you can actually go see polar bears. And I'm telling you, man, like, this year, December, has been record days almost every day. I think 2 of the last 30 days have not been records.
Well, Al Gore says that the Earth is burning up and that the ice caps melted. So why don't you just believe him?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Al Gore, I really don't have any time for him. But the other thing is I think that, like, with the whole homosexual comment and everything like that, you know, they're doing a really good job of getting to the women up here. I mean, listen, I'm not bragging, but I'm a decent looking guy, okay? And I can't for the life of me find any attractive women lately. It seems like they're doing such a good job at getting to the women. They're all brain dead zombies. And honestly,
well, it is true that 80+% of advertising is targeting women, and women statistically, but it's not by much because men are buying into it as well, absolutely buy whatever the culture says. And that's because genetic studies show women are conformist, and they tend to conform for tribal good. Like, there's a good chief running things, but it's not a good chief. It's a chief that wants them deader than a hammer. I appreciate your call. By the way, some good news. It's from Natural News. It's up on Infowars.com. 9 states propose 16 anti-fluoridation bills in 2013 to protect public against poison. So there is a major move as the feds lobby states to pass laws to make you fluoridate, to block cities that pass laws to unfluoridate, to defluoridate. They then come in and try to ram through laws on top of that to force you to fluoridate. Well, now the population is striking back. Here's some of the headlines up on PrisonPlanet.com and Infowars.com right now. Former CIA head, Snowden should be hanged by the neck until he is dead. By the way, that same CIA head is the one that I saw at UT. We sent a reporter and videotaped it many years ago. We've got it somewhere around here, who said that all Muslims should be put in FEMA camps. And, of course, he just wanted to set the precedent so anyone they didn't like could be put in them. That's how that works. James Woolsey, what a monster. Continuing here, Italian president warns of violent unrest in 2014. Obamacare enhances globalist effort to restrict freedom of travel. Yeah, that's in the bill. You didn't know that? Government using NSA to change amount in bank accounts, warns panel. That is such big news I haven't gotten to yet. Oh, yeah, they say the White House's own panel admits it's illegal, admits select corporations are using it to corner the market, and says it's bad, so Obama's being praised. So he'll say, oh, this is bad, while they're behind it. That's doublethink. I'm against the NDAA. Then he signs it. And again, I haven't even gotten into this yet. I just mentioned it. Coroner claims Ohio man murdered in police custody. Police say suicide. The video we now have is when they get him in the car at the highway checkpoint, they say, when we get you back to the jail, we're going to kill you on the dash cam. And they didn't erase that, and then they went and erased the stuff at the jail. But they had the video of them dragging him in. So let's go out to break with part of this. Here's that report where even when they're on tape saying we're going to murder you, the police investigate themselves, so nothing's going to happen. Here it is. He's like, I like what you're doing and appreciate what you're doing. I don't know why I'm telling that story every time And we talked for a while. And because he came out during a break when I was signing stuff, because I was signing stuff even while the movie was on. I guess he came out to the bathroom and saw me and walked down the hall at the Alamo Draft House. And then at the end when he came out, I'd written a note, and it said, like, against the wind, deadlines and commitments, what to leave in, what to leave out, moving 8 miles a minute for months at a time. And I basically wrote the lines of that song on there and then said, here's my phone number. Give me a call. Like 3 months later, Willie Nelson calls up. I need to get back a hold of Willie. You know, I hung out with him and had dinner with him and Dave Mustaine, I don't know, like right before his birthday. And 80 years old now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not name dropping. I just hear Willie Nelson from The Highwaymen. And, of course, Chris Christopherson is still around. But Johnny Cash is gone. And old Waylon Jennings. Be fun to just play music like that and talk. Briefly, I'm going to go to Tim. I'm going to go to, who else is holding the longest? Anthony and Faith and Rocco and Eric. And we've got our big guest coming up at the 8 after. Briefly, this broadcast is listener-supported, ladies and gentlemen. And we try to bring you the very best products, whether it's the Mexican-grown, High Mountain, Chiapas, Beyond Fair Trade coffee, or whether it's the Fluoride Shield that's in a 2-ounce bottle and has the nascent iodine in it, proprietary, but 5 other key compounds that just amazingly clarify the mind, clean up the glands for me personally. It's just amazing. Check it out, InfoWarsLife.com. We have the Pure Survival Shield that is the proprietary nascent iodine. You've heard the rave reviews. Try it for yourself. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. We have never had a product with 0 complaints. People will complain about anything. 0 complaints. 0. It is sensational what it's done. And the Super Male Vitality is sold out now, but we're going to get more of that in about 3 weeks or so. But again, you can go to InfoWarsLife.com, and we now have Made-in-1776.com that is made in America, bronze and nickel belt buckles with George Washington, with the words, the answer to 1984, 1776, with George Washington's signature. I designed this with my graphics crew, so it's an Alex Jones original, and we only did a limited run of them. They're numbered 1 through 500. When they're gone, it's over. Made in America flags, American apparel, made right here in America. Some of it is actually American apparel. Incredibly expensive to get high-quality stuff made in America. Golf shirts, you name it. But we give you designer stuff at a third the price it would be at Dillard's or Macy's or wherever. And then you're supporting the broadcast as well. So that's InfoWarsStore.com. And if you get your order in today, it will ship out tomorrow and is almost guaranteed everywhere. They say it's guaranteed if it's UPS or the mail, but I don't know that. I mean, my point is it was guaranteed by today if it shipped out. But get your orders in. You can also send the magazines as a gift subscription, a yearly subscription. Shipping's included. $39.95, 12 big color glossy magazines and bumper stickers and so much more sent out to folks and your friends and family or the police department or the local college, the local church. Bomb them with info, ladies and gentlemen. InfoWarsStore.com or buy them in bulk at cost. InfoWarsStore.com. And you can always give a PrisonPlanet.tv membership right up until Christmas morning.
Oh, Alex, this is Tim.
Hey, brother.
I've been a listener since 2008, and I know you don't like to hear it, but thank you.
No, I like to hear it, brother. I just, I'm just not perfect. I have a lot of guilt over things in my life. I mean, I'm not a bad guy, but, it's just weird to have everybody thinking you're a great guy,
Well, I feel almost like I know you. I've been listening to you I haven't missed a show, I don't think, for 5 years. My family roots go back to 1624.
Wow.
Anyway, there are 2 things that I want to talk about. One of them is this mystery illness. Fox News, just a few minutes ago, an hour ago now, 12:03 p.m., announced that they had in Conroe, those 4 deaths were H1N1, pig flu.
Well, sure. Well, we caught them years ago lying about deaths from other stuff, saying it was H1N1, swine flu. And then we know that vaccine was actually spreading it. That actually came out, folks. Look it up. But that's interesting because I have family that's died from this, and my uncle's been tested, and they said it was not flu, and they're having deaths in that hospital in Tyler. It's a really nice hospital there, and they're saying it's not flu. So very interesting. National Fox News reported that?
I don't know if it's national or not. It's Fox 26 here in Houston. No, it was a local reporter, I believe. Anyway, they were saying that the short test or the easy test or whatever, it didn't show up. They didn't think it was that, and then they got some more extensive test or whatever, and have determined that it's H1N1. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, well, what they're saying is the Houston Chronicle, and I've got its reporting, mystery illness likely H1N1. So see, but I mean, I'm dealing with the doctors myself. My dad's been there at the hospital for days off and on, and he was just there yesterday in East Texas. He rode back last night with my mom, they're saying it's not H1N1. And let me tell you, Usually when they're hyping the flu, it's not really bad, and it's people that are really sick to get killed by it. They haven't been hyping this, which is unusual. This stuff is deadly. This stuff is deadly. Because, listen, here's the deal. Flu, you usually get better from it in 3 or 4 days or it kills you. People are sick for a month with this stuff. Does that sound like any flu you ever heard of?
Right. I just got my wife out of the hospital on the 14th of last month. No, the 14th of last month, and she's still not 100%.
Oh, so she's got the same lung stuff?
Yeah. It was attacking her organs. It was attacking her kidneys.
I was about to say my uncle's got kidney stuff now. Yeah, this is incredible. This is some weaponized stuff. It's not flu. We've had our children tested here who had it. Not flu. Uncle tested. Not flu. They didn't do an autopsy on my cousin, but and again, I'm not saying flu doesn't exist. It's just usually they'll hype it out of the blue sky when nothing's going on and, have one death of some 80-year-old person who had cancer and say, oh, it's deadly, get the shots. This is definitely killing people. And it was flu. I'd say it's flu, but they're saying they can't find what it is. I mean, they're sending this stuff off to the CDC, and they can't find out what it is. And then I just knew they'd come out and say it was flu. All right, you want to say something about Christmas music, it says. What do you want to say about that?
One more thing. I have some local artists here. They are at bluebamboomusic.com. They cut an album. You're talking about creativity and the beauty of Christmas Christmas songs. It's Tiana Hall and Chris Cortez. The album's name is Noel. You can get the music at bluebamboomusic.com. And they did the most beautiful rendition of O Come, Emmanuel that I have ever heard.
That's thought crime. You cannot talk about Christ. Do not do that on air. That is a dirty word. FCC banned. Whoa. Who discovered and became a devout student of Austrian economics, as we are as well, with Lew Rockwell yesterday, the head of the Von Mises Institute, a number of years ago. He is the co-founder of the Tennessee Liberty Alliance, a free market educational organization. Glenn tries to use his fame in pop culture to spread the message of liberty and sound economics. He's written articles for the Future of Freedom Foundation, LewRockwell.com, The Daily Caller, as well as appearing on various television programs. And he joins us now. Follow him on Twitter at Jacobs Report, and he is with us today. Wow, great to have you on. I love the speech that I saw you give at the Libertarian Committee meeting on C-SPAN, and I would love to just give you the floor to talk about Obamacare and the attacks on free speech and the TSA now rolling out on the streets of America. Great to have you with us, sir.
Great to be here, Alex. Thanks for having me.
So much to talk about. What do you want to begin with?
We could spend 3 hours talking, couldn't we? There's a lot of stuff. Why don't we talk about Bitcoin, actually, because I find it rather fascinating, especially the debate that's going on within libertarian and Austrian economic circles right now.
Sure. Give us your take on it.
Well, first of all, I think like everybody else, I like to see the development of something like Bitcoin. I really like the idea of competing currencies. And I think the people behind Bitcoin, of course, have the best of intentions, and lots of people that are getting into Bitcoin are getting into it for the right reasons. It's not the dollar, it's not the euro, it's not the yen, it's not a government-issued fiat currency. Nevertheless, I have some problems with Bitcoin myself that other people in the hard money camp have. First of all, money comes to the market and emerges on the market. It isn't like someone just says, hey, this is money, let's start using it. And I think that the reason that people are going into Bitcoin is exactly because of what it isn't. It's not the dollar, it's not the euro, it's not the yen. Whereas if we look at something like precious metals, the gold and silver, yeah, we can argue they don't have intrinsic value from a theoretical economic perspective, and that's true. Nevertheless, they have a 6,000-year history of being money, of being desired for people, of being desired by people. People want the precious metals because of what they are. And I really feel that Bitcoin is sort of taking a lot of the interest that would be in the metals and diverting it. Like I said, that's great in the idea that it's a competing currency, but nevertheless, I don't think it's the competing currency that does have the ability to break the state's monopoly on the issuance of money.
Very well said. Plus, they can use the unknown providence of this. They can use the takedown of Bitcoin to then demonize and taint the idea of true independent cryptocurrencies. That's all I'm saying is this may not have a happy ending, and I'm not in some cult just saying it's perfect, we've got to bow down to it. We've got to have some concerns. Investing in anything, especially something brand new and speculative, is dangerous.
And you hit the nail on the head right there, Alex. That is the problem with Bitcoin from a more macro level. If we're introducing the idea of competing currencies, and then one of these competing currencies ends up in a bubble, ends up with a lot of people putting a lot of money into it. Like I heard recently that, folks were saying that Bitcoin could go to $100,000 a coin or even $1 million a coin. People are going to start getting into this thing because, wow, it's starting to shoot up in value. I need to get into it before the train leaves the station. And then all of a sudden the thing crashes. Then the statists are going to say, see, we told you, money is way too important for the market to handle. Only the government should be handling money. And it will, as you say, demonize the entire idea of competing currencies.
Now, shifting gears out of that, let's look at the TSA, because your comments made national news, and I think more people should speak up. This is our country. The TSA's own internal documents that came out a few months ago admit they've never stopped a real terrorist. Now they're running checkpoints on the highways and are becoming a federal police force. What's your personal take on it, and what have been your experiences?
Well, the TSA as an organization, as an agency, is in standing violation of the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution, which says that we should be free to go as we please. There should not be unreasonable searches and seizures without due process of law, without a warrant being issued. Showing up at an airport to get on a commercial airplane is not probable cause. And what the TSA does, despite the fact that, again, you look at TSA agents as individuals, and many of them, of course, are very decent people trying to do a good job, trying to do what they think is right. Nevertheless, the organization itself is a means by which the government is basically getting into our business when it doesn't belong there. The only contact that we should have with federal authorities is when we are in the process of committing a crime or we are thought to be about to commit a crime. And that's about it. And this idea that they should be questioning us, that, of course, with like the NSA, that they should be listening to everything that we do, that everything goes into a federal database, that they should just be in our business in general, as they are, is very dangerous to freedom. And unfortunately, it is indicative of the fact that many Americans have traded their liberty for security, and we were warned against doing that by the founding fathers.
Sure. And again, if you just joined us, Glenn Jacobs, known as Kane, one of the top wrestlers in the world, is here, and he is talking about being free. And it's so asinine to claim that government can keep us safe. And we knew that they would start moving out of the airports onto the roads and into the malls and the sport stadiums. The idea that the feds have to be everywhere where a bad person might try to hurt you while they try to keep the individual from being armed to protect ourselves, that is obviously the real answer to terrorism or crime, is just a transparent power grab. What is your view of the dictatorial move of Obama particularly, and on so many issues, bypassing the Constitution? And in your gut, what historic point do you think we're at? Are we near the tipping point? Is there an awakening? What does your gut tell you? Because you come off as a really informed, well-researched, smart guy.
I think we are close to a tipping point. I mean, of course, we can't predict economics. A lot of us thought in 2007, 2008, that was really the beginning of the end, right? But the world economy is very complex, and there are all sorts of different dynamics at play. So we don't know how long things can go on economically. They could go on for a few years. They could go on for a few months. We have no idea. And there's probably equal chance of either. I do believe that we are at a tipping point, though, because there's an undercurrent. People are just tired of all this. Freedom and liberty means being able to live your life as you want to live it, so long as you're not hurting anybody else. What is wrong with that? That's what I don't understand about people that disagree with libertarian philosophy. How in the world could you say that people should not be able to live their life as they wish if they're not hurting you? And that's for everybody around the world. I think that's what everybody wants. And we're seeing more and more, especially the federal government, moving in areas that they've never been in before, moving there very vigorously. And so I think we are at a tipping point. I think our job is to educate as many people as possible, because I don't think that there's any way to stop what's going to happen. I do see that I think that we're going to have horrendous economic times coming up. The bright spot in all that is, yes, that will allow for a paradigm change. So we have to educate people before we get there to understand what the real problems were, what caused the problems, and how we solve the problems on the other side. And in the end, I think that once we get through this crisis, we will see a golden age of liberty and freedom. I really do believe that. I
agree. Glenn Jacobs is our guest. What freaks me out is when I read globalist white papers that we've displayed here on the air, they admit all of this and their collectivist model is going to fail, but they still believe they should be in control as kind of the brain bugs on top of the little hive ants or bees as they see us, and they want to bring in a total state and this computer system that they believe will finally make collectivism work, as they say it. But really, we've just been usurped and conquered by people using fraud and criminal philosophies that aren't really based in reality. And when I see all over the country bills introduced and moves to ban homeschooling, and when I see the persecution of gun owners and the persecution of free speech, I just hope we can hold off a violent revolution so that we can just restore our republic somehow peacefully. What does the Cain in you think about all this? I guess Cain would be a fan of tyranny.
Yeah, he probably would be. Luckily, I'm not. And but violent revolution, of course, is not the answer, and that will only bring in more problems. As we've seen throughout history, when there have been violent revolutions, we have to look at what comes next, and often what replaces what the current paradigm is something far worse. So I really do believe that education is the key, getting people to understand the problems, getting people to understand what caused the problems, and getting people to understand how we solve the problems. And solving the problems does not mean giving big government more power. It means giving big government less power, downsizing the government as much as we possibly can.
You have absolutely just borne in on the heart of it. Revolutions don't ever work except in the case of 1776. You can count on one hand revolutions that made things better. Usually it's a French Revolution and go from bad to worse because the fundamental cultural rot is still there. Our revolution was successful because it was so fundamentally pro-liberty that even though it was never attained fully, it was the idea of reaching out in an evolution towards greater and greater freedom, greater and greater empowerment that historically uplifts people, free association, where those that rise are those that have better ideas or are more honorable instead of the king rat big government model. So we need to have a restoration and a cultural velvet revolution against their tyranny. That is the system that is unstoppable.
Ron Paul says that an idea whose time has come can't be stopped. An army can't stop it. It's more powerful than an army. Once you're able to change hearts and minds, you're able to do tremendous things. And that's one thing I found in my own life. I may not be able to control everything that goes out in the rest of the world. What I can control is how I think about things, educating myself, trying to enlighten other people, or at least give them the ability to think about things differently, at least give them a different perspective. And that has made tremendous differences in my own life. And I think for the population at large, that is the key, is to at least expose people to a different paradigm, to show them that there is a red pill, and we can't make them take it, but nevertheless, we can at least show them that the thing exists, and that's a step in the right direction.
Exactly. Ron Paul, as you know, he was on just a few days ago. It points out that the key time is during the collapse. The socialists and communists want to use Cloward and Piven to collapse things and then pose as the saviors to get their vice grips into us that much tighter and enslave us. But if we point out their system failed, not free market capitalism, but that it's crony insider capitalism coupled with socialism that the robber barons are pushing, it's game over for them. They want to use class warfare when it's Warren Buffett, the biggest recipient of banker bailout money, lobbying to raise taxes on the middle class.
Yeah, Alex, I wrote an article for the Daily Caller, and the title of it, this is a while back, the title of it was, "Does the Free Market Cause Wealth Inequality?" And it does not. Of course, there are always going to be people that are going to be wealthier than other people because they have different and better talents, or they're smarter, or they have better luck, or they just plain work harder. But what causes wealth inequality is big government. What has caused the explosion in the wealth gap that we've seen since the financial crisis in 2007, 2008 is the fact that the Federal Reserve has pumped trillions of dollars out into the economy. You and I haven't gotten it. The middle class has not gotten it. The people on Wall Street have gotten it. They've used that to buy assets at lower prices, and then as more and more people, of course, buy the assets, those assets go up in price. That's what causes wealth inequality. The free market actually narrows the wealth gap because we can all produce in a way that we want to, and we can all become as big as we want to be.
And there's no debating that. Socialism, fascism, every form of collectivism creates living hell. And it always does, and I'm sick of the collectivists telling me, oh, British healthcare is great, it's socialist, when I got people that work for me that live in England. I watch C-SPAN and see the parliamentary hearings. It is a hellhole.
Very good friend that grew up in Canada. He was told all through school that the Canadian health system was the best in the world. Of course, until he needed to get an MRI and had to wait 6 months, but he was able to cross the border. He lived in Toronto. He was able to come to Detroit and get the MRI that day. There's a problem there. But yeah, a lot of folks around the world, unfortunately, have been propagandized to believe that socialism, which is really, in many respects, communism light, is the ultimate political arrangement for human beings. It's not. It does lead to mass poverty, and it leads to misery.
And there's no doubt about it. It's just incredible. Al Gore says the North Pole melted. It didn't. Al Gore says socialism's great. It's horrible. These people know they're liars, and they've all gotten rich off of collectivizing the stuff that they basically control and skim off the top of. Now, again, we've only got about 7 minutes left with you. I hope you'll come on as things develop around the country. I know you're helping organize libertarians to run for office and take our country back. I've been asking the questions here. Give us your take on what you think is most important, other news items that you think need to be discussed.
Again, there's so much stuff. The Federal Reserve, to me, is the most important issue that we deal with.
Its 100-year anniversary is Monday.
Yeah, and Janet Yellen, of course, is going in as the new Fed chairman. The other day, the Fed just said that they're going to taper about $10 billion a month. They're still pumping $75 billion a month into the economy. And if you look at their balance sheet, it's more than that. And the reason the Fed is so important is because it empowers big government. People don't like to pay taxes. When taxes go up, they tend not to vote for the people who are in office. So the politicians and the central bankers figured out a way to circumnavigate that. We'll print the money. That will buy the services that people expect from the government, and then people pay for it through price inflation. But of course, because the price inflation comes later and because it's hidden, because it's generally embedded in the price of products, we can blame that on the market. We can blame that on business people. We can blame that on, greedy oil companies or whatever. So to me, that's the most important issue is the Federal Reserve. We can't talk about that enough. We have to audit the Federal Reserve. Bernie Sanders showed, this guy's a socialist, and he was able to come out and show that the Fed lent out $17 trillion in 2007, 2008. You and I didn't get it. Who got it? The people on Wall Street. But we wouldn't have even known about it if he hadn't done that investigation, because the Fed had lax transparency. And I absolutely think that if the American people could see what the Fed really does and who benefits from their policies, they realize that all this stuff about stimulating the economy, it has nothing to do with stimulating the economy. It's about stimulating the bonuses on Wall Street.
That's right. Glenn Jacobs joins us here, known as the Wrestler Kane, and absolutely on target when it comes to the reality of the economics we face. There's a reason since 1913, 100 years ago, this week or next week, the 23rd, during the Christmas recess, they snuck it through, fraudulently gave us the income tax to pay that debt. It allows them to manage and manipulate the economy. It allows them to pick winners and losers. It allows them to give themselves free money or at 0% interest. And that's how you've had this criminal consolidation of the ultra-rich who then gang up and demonize the middle class because that's their only political opposition. They want to make us poor on record. And now you see, since 100 years ago, a 98% devaluation in dollar buying power, and it's accelerating now on the last 2% to devalue it on beef prices. The stock market is overinflated. It's not really 15,000. It just affects everything. It's a giant fraud. And it's important when it all comes down that we don't let them set up a world government with a whole new Ponzi scheme of SDRs, as they're calling for, or their own fiat currency into another level. It's important to bring them to justice.
Understanding monetary policy is very important. I follow Kyle Bass, who did some great work in the lead up to the housing bubble. And his prognosis is that Japan is going to be next to be hit with the debt bomb because of their demographics and because of the fact that they've been printing money like crazy too. Then it goes back to Europe. Then again, you can't really put a time frame on this, but he says in 4 to 6 years, we'll see the debt problems emerge here in the U.S. And, folks, that's an enormous problem because if we can't sell our debt anymore, if the Fed has to, which is already doing to a great extent, but if the Fed has to completely buy the government's debt and has to monetize like crazy, if the dollar perchance loses its reserve currency status, that is, if other countries around the world prefer not to trade in dollars or to hold dollars as backing for their own currencies, we're in a lot of trouble. Because then all the inflation this is what's happening now is when the Fed prints money, the inflation doesn't necessarily stay here in the U.S. It goes into the capital markets like the stock market, but it also goes around the world. If it doesn't do that and it stays here, we will see a massive, perhaps a hyperinflationary event, and that will tear society apart. That's something we should all be aware of course. And
in closing, in the 2 minutes we've got left, we've been proven right that it's an international conspiracy. That LIBOR was staged. Even the Rolling Stone admits it's a conspiracy. So that's all over. Instead of getting an apology, I get demonized by the ADL and Southern Poverty Law Center and MSNBC because they're bought and paid for to try to block us ever getting our country back. Our country's been usurped. We have to admit it's a corporatist, anti-free market group. Let's talk about World Wrestling Entertainment briefly. What's the average political makeup there? Are people waking up there? Are more people going to speak out there? Where do you think that's going? Because you've used your fame to help promote liberty. Are other folks going to be joining you? And what are you doing running for political office?
I have no plans to run for political office now. Maybe in the future I might do that. As far as my colleagues, Alex, the reason that most people don't pay attention to stuff is they're just trying to make a living, man. They're busy. Trying to pay taxes. They're trying to take care of their families. They're trying to deal with all this stuff that life gives you in general. And then on top of that, we have this enormous paradigm shift, which I believe is on the horizon. But, like most people, I think our guys, they do, there's a libertarian streak. And as far as, we don't really like taxes that much because we have to pay our own taxes. We're independent contractors, which means that we have to write a check out to the IRS, and nothing will bring your religion faster than actually having to sit down and sign a big old check over to the...
Well said. Hey, listen, you got to promise to come back, and next time you're in Austin, come in studio.
All right, man, I will. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks a lot. Powerful interview. David Knight's coming in with an investigative report. Stay with us. More than that, it is about an attack on free speech. Here's another one. Liberals declare Duck Dynasty Christian views hate speech. That's by Kit Daniels. Those articles are up on Infowars.com. and prisonplanet.com. And I get what Kurt's saying there because it is about special interest. But if they can take down this free speech and have a chilling effect, a new McCarthy-type era, they can create blacklists, they can silence opposition, they will come after everybody. And, I mean, come on, folks. We live in a country where some hillbilly can't go, I like men, or I like women, not men. I mean, just come on. Didn't matter if you wanted to say, I like hunting ducks or I like whatever. It just goes on and on and on. And it is so incredibly disgusting. I know we have a bunch of callers. We'll get to you after the special report live in studio with David Knight. Duck Dynasty, it's not about the First Amendment. Issue is about government handing out special rights to preferential groups for political donations. And it just goes on from there, breaking it down. And then, of course, as I said, there's the article that Kit Daniels did. Liberals, I would call them authoritarian liberals, declared Duck Dynasty Christian views hate speech. Media goes beyond disagreement and push for chilling effect against free speech. And that I think, is the core of it. I ought to get Kurt in here. And it's fun to get the different perspective for the writers. That's what I want here, is different views on this. But, I mean, I know there's many levels to this, why they're pushing it. It's about depopulation, breaking up the family, having the moral high ground while they get rid of the Bill of Rights, Constitution, while they sell us out to foreign banks, while they debase the currency, while they just engage in all different forms of crime with Obamacare. Oh, but we have the new civil right of we're going to teach your 5-year-olds how to have sex. I mean, it just never seems to end. Now, shifting gears, there has been quite a bit of debate about Snowden, the NSA whistleblower, and Greenwald, and the London Guardian, and why are they holding back some of the documents? And when Greenwald was interviewed by Ron Paul, he said some of the more sensational stuff we've held back. And I think that could be said because they're afraid of the government coming after them if they really release a lot of stuff, and they're doing criminal investigations of the Guardian. And they don't want to release stuff that burns innocent people because then it makes all the whistleblowers look bad. That's the argument for them not being some limited hangout group. And let me tell you, they're really mad at Snowden. And I don't think Snowden's a globalist operative. I don't think this is disinfo because I know about the NSA. I've talked to the whistleblowers and the experts and the people that no one even knows their names. We told you everything about the NSA. We told you how it worked, what they were doing, how they were predicting the future, how they were giving it to corporate interest. That's in the new White House report admitting they're using it for financial interest in select groups. But spending it like to help America, we need to stop doing that. Well, shoot, help America. Give us that NSA data. It's helping globalism corner every market. So it's a very balanced perspective that I have because it's so complex and we don't know the truth. But they don't like this debate happening. If it was a limited hangout spin for some reason or an internal war between different government agencies or groups, it blew up in their face because this could bring the whole system down because of their lying about it forever, saying they weren't doing it, the fact that it's so illegal, the fact that Google and Microsoft and all these companies and AT&T are up to their eyeballs, up to their noses in this beyond 1984 tyranny. And Germany acts like they're not involved. They're doing the exact same thing. Russia's doing a lot of this, and it doesn't, well, since everybody's doing it, let's do it. No, it shows how bad it's gotten, and we need to have a societal discussion about this, and people need to get in trouble because they're already using this data more and more as they kind of come out with it, and that's what Pachinik's, Dr. Pachinik, who I don't agree with a lot of stuff on, I agree with some of it on, but he's definitely an operative at many levels, so represents some very serious camps in the system, the military camp, for one, a branch of the Army, basically, in their lobbying efforts. So there's different factions here. And he said when it all happened, Alex, they're just getting everybody ready to accept it. It's the rollout now. And he's right. If no one gets in trouble and this doesn't get rolled back, disclosure is almost worse now because it's a chilling effect of, yeah, we're watching you, and what are you going to do? And they're using it in court in non-terror-related cases. But because it's been illegal, they make fake cases to then say they had evidence why they knew something was happening. It's great to frame people. And we have this case with Larry Klayman winning in federal court. It's going ahead to trial. Judge saying, yeah, this is violating the Fourth Amendment. No kidding. It's violating the Fourth Amendment. So my thing is, I know I'm for real. I know, because we had a big internal debate about this. And I think it's good to debate it. But I know I'm for real. I know I'm not working for anybody. I've said on air that I've had family that worked in Black Ops and even with the CIA, some of my more distant family. But that doesn't, they said the government's bad. They said I'm dead on. They're patriots. They don't like what's happening. That's what I'm saying is that we can't just decide we're all going to lose and that there could never be anybody good or that we could never take the country back and that anybody that has success must be an operative. And so that's what I'm saying as I look at the fruits of this. If it was a staged event, which I don't think it was, it's not going good for them. And notice Snowden wants to go to Brazil now. Snowden wants out of Russia. Now, the Russians are pretty good at figuring out if somebody's for real. They clearly think he's for real, but still he knows it's not safe over there with that group. So the issue here is that Snowden saw incredible evil. He's a Ron Paul libertarian. We've been told by folks that know him that, but obviously he's told by the trendy liberal groups. See, it's more like this. WikiLeaks and kind of a leftist army are more the left wanting to be the good guys as the leaks come out. They get them and then can spin them. If they are agents or operatives, that's the level it's at, is that they know it's all coming out, so they sit there, play the part of the heroes, make everybody think everything's been fixed, everything's been taken care of, that there is an opposition out there, and so they can limitedly dole it out. And that's what David Knight has basically said in his reports, and I think there's some truth to that. The question is, though, is that more because they're scared? And they know if they go all the way, they'll be hammered with criminal indictments like are already happening with The Guardian. So, look, this is an important debate. We don't know exactly what's happening. I think it should be debated, should be looked at. But Sibel Edmonds, who is a real whistleblower from the FBI with NSA intercepts, who said our government was running al-Qaeda on the day of 9/11, running the guns, running slaves, running everything, criminal elements within, insider trading, it all came out. They congressionally gagged her. Later, she broke the gag order valiantly and came out with all that. We've interviewed her many times. You guys interviewed her earlier this week. I guess Tuesday night you interviewed her, David. And so this is very important. And she smells a rat. And I don't think it's sour grapes that she's a real whistleblower and you know, has had her life, you know, attacked. And now she sees all this happening. I think she instinctively is right that why aren't they bringing out the real dirt? But, again, that doesn't mean it's a total operation. Because, again, I experienced being told I'm an operation. David, you've been here now for quite a while. No one's censoring what you're doing. Nothing, you know, this is a real operation promoting libertarian, patriot, Americana ideas. So give us your, so I'm just sick of everybody saying agent, because I know there's a lot of good people in the system, both in government, corporate, media, who, especially as stuff gets worse and worse, we have to be ready for there to be opposition. Like Cass Sunstein said, they would cognitively infiltrate and make people think all the opposition was government so that none of us could trust each other. You know, we've just got to, on faith, step up and say no. People out there listening, they know they're good. What is your gut, before we get into the nuts and bolts of this, what does your gut, David Knight, tell you about the whole WikiLeaks, Snowden, Greenwald, the whole 9 yards?
Well, I don't know at this point. I think that the Snowden documents are authentic but being mismanaged by Greenwald for his own personal benefit.
I think that's definite.
That's my concern about this. So there's questions of journalistic ethics, but there's even more important questions about what do we do about this police state. It was just yesterday that we put on InfoWars an article from William Binney. Now, this guy is a bona fide NSA whistleblower. This guy is a gold standard along with Thomas Drake. A lot of people in the early to mid-2000s after September 11th, they noticed the switch in the NSA, and a lot of internal people who were very high up in the NSA started blowing the whistle and said, look, the NSA is directing everything inward illegally in this country.
That's what Madsen says. He says they weren't spying on the general public until recently.
Well, that's what they're saying. Now, these are people who... William Binney was taking a shower. He had guns drawn on him while he's in the shower. Thomas Drake, they tried to send to jail for a very long time, but they went through the process. Nobody paid any attention to them. No mainstream media. I mean, you can go back and you can find...
So you think that's the big issue, is that they got so much attention? I guess that is a point.
No, but part of it is, listen, a year ago he said, he held his finger and his thumb close together and he said, we're this close to a police state. Yesterday, the news article broke. He said, we are there. We are now a police state. We need to do something about this. As of now, only 1% of these documents from the Snowden leaks have been published by Greenwald. Is it going to take 50 years to put this out? We don't have 50 years to roll back the police state. We don't have 50 years to show people the most shocking stuff that the NSA is doing.
So it's almost used as a way to divert everybody from all the other news.
Yes, and the question is, I mean, I'm looking at this and we're setting up and doing the news. We see these stories continually being leaked out. And I think it's really kind of a boiling frogs type of thing. I'm starting to look at this and say, okay, here's something about how they're spying on people in video games as they're playing video games. It's inoculating the public to this. This is kind of the traditional boiling frogs analogy, which is what Sibel Edmonds was right.
So they go from totally denying it to like, okay, and all right, well, yeah. And now we're just going to use it in court without warrants. And
there's also questions about the fact that he has made this deal with PayPal. Okay, PayPal has not been a friend of independent...
They've been big buddies of the NSA, and they have the founder of it. We played the clip yesterday going... like Britney Spears, we should just let them do whatever they want.
You know, this is what William Binney said. Let me just read this to you, because when she got information, she got a tip. Sibel Edmonds got a tip from somebody who was an anonymous, retired NSA person. He says, why hasn't anything come out about financial information, especially about PayPal? Because PayPal is a giant global bank. And all these giant global banks are getting information from the NSA and giving information to the NSA.
And by the way, I think that's the big deal here, even if Greenwald doesn't understand it and it's being used. I just don't want to indict people without proof, but I think you're convincing me here. There's a lot of stuff going on. The big issue is Google and Microsoft and PayPal and the big banks. They are the NSA. They got, in the Telecommunications Act and others, the funding to put the grids in. They get first use of the data.
Yes.
And we've known this forever. We told everybody about the video games 5 years ago before Snowden. Because you're right, there were already a bunch of whistleblowers. There were already 15 years ago EU meetings on this. I mean, so yeah, it's like kind of everything Snowden put out's already been on this show.
Exactly. There's nothing new so far. And he says this is what he said on the Ron Paul show on August 12th. He said that Snowden had very carefully vetted each one of these documents to make sure.
This is Greenwald.
This is Greenwald saying this on Ron Paul, August the 12th. He said Snowden has very carefully vetted each one of these documents to make certain that only ones he was giving me were ones that were in the public interest to know and reveal things that the public doesn't know that he felt the public should know. But Greenwald has held back on 99% of that information. And why? Because he's got a multi-million-dollar book contract coming up that's coming out in February or March, which means that he's been holding this stuff back from the very beginning to write his book. And then he takes this stuff,
Well, that's another thing. Why did WikiLeaks want money before they released TPP info?
I don't know that they wanted money.
Well, there was groups saying raise it.
Crowdsourcing funding.
Yeah, but I mean, just come on. We get documents, we put them out.
I know. But the thing is, with these Snowden documents, he then takes these documents, takes sole possession of the Snowden documents. Greenwald and I think Laura Poitras has control of them as well. They use that to set up a new media empire, as well as the book deal, as well as the movie deals. And so he's gone from being a journalist to being a source. And not only that, but Pierre Omidyar is now buying this source.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, I've released major NSA info, and it's turned out to be true, and no one covers it.
That's right.
And again, I just don't want to attack them because of envy. And I want to believe in Greenwald. I want to believe in Snowden. I want to say, because then they demonize him, and it makes you say they're a hero because you want to support whistleblowing. But then you say, is the PSYOP even more sophisticated? I'll say this. If it is a PSYOP, they're doing it as an emergency measure because they know the dam already broke. So it's a victory either way, David, is what I'm saying. They're not invincible. I've just found this mindset that people think everything is a scam. And it's not. I'm real. You're real.
Right. I agree. I think there's been a huge sea turn. In this August interview with Ron Paul, he pointed out correctly that it had made a sea change in the way that people perceive the government. Of course, people are very cynical now about the government.
Yeah, and I think they're smart enough to know. I just don't know. I think they're intimidated and scared, being handled and managed by other people we're not hearing about who are manipulating them. I'm telling you, that's you. People are not that smart. I have met with CEOs, billionaires, and they're smart about their business but don't know about Oliver Cromwell, or they don't know about fission fusion, or they don't have a generalist knowledge. You see what I'm saying?
Well, the concern that Benny and Sibel and others who are really whistleblowers are concerned about is that if it is perceived or if it's understood that these documents are being profiteered on, that not only calls into question the integrity of Greenwald.
It taints them.
It taints all whistleblowers. And whenever whistleblowers do come out, no matter how they do it, they are always demonized. There's always ad hominem attacks. They come after their character, their personality.
Saying they want to make money and they want to be famous.
So this could
no, look how they're going after Larry Klayman for winning. Saying, oh, he just wants to be famous winning against the NSA.
Right. So when he goes from a situation of being a journalist to being the source, and then when that information is purchased in a clear case of checkbook journalism, that really reflects on the integrity of the whole operation here.
But at the same time, you've got to have incentives to risk your life.
Oh, yeah.
And free speech. And so I want whistleblowers to become rock stars. Yeah. And I just own the whole deal. I say, fine. Because here's the issue. They can put it back on the other foot and say that we are COINTELPROing, or we are trying to, I'm just saying that's the genius of what Cass Sunstein, I'm sure you've read his papers.
Yeah.
From Chicago and Harvard, right before he went to the White House. And he said, do just this.
Yes.
Show infighting. Like, you notice I never infight.
Right.
And I think, like Ron Paul doesn't infight, I think we should analyze and be sophisticated and give people the, inside baseball to think about this. I just think we should also look at it and say, this can be seen by any perspective. So regardless, we should make it about, hey, you lied to us and said you weren't spying on us. We need congressional investigations. We want indictments. I mean, I want people to go to jail. And what gives credence to what you're saying, though, and again, I'm going back and forth because it's so sophisticated, the new White House commission on it says, oh, we are spying. It's illegal. We should stop. And they are using it for corporate, leveraging. But again, they're the ones behind it. And so they're having it both ways.
I don't want to make it about personal infighting. I don't want to make it personally about Greenwald, but Greenwald has made it about Greenwald. I want it to be about the documents. And the way you make it about the documents is to release the documents.
Yeah, what I would have done...
Write a book on it, he can still do...
Stay there, I want to come back. You're right. I would have... He is hoarding. I'm like a dragon on a pile of gold. I would have sent it out to all the media and pointed out who I gave it to. Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah. I agree. I would just fire it in every direction. It's all over talking about anti-religious bigotry, how they're censoring free speech, kicking the most popular brother off Duck Dynasty indefinitely for criticizing homosexuality. It is a violation of the First Amendment. These mobs, these new blacklists, this is McCarthyite stuff on steroids, on PCP. And if they can do this, they can chill everybody. And so everybody needs to get the article we've got coming out and get out to everybody. It's time to boycott the sponsors, A&E, all of it. By the way, I've been offered multiple A&E TV shows over the last decade to act like an idiot. You know what I told A&E? No, thank you. So the whole point is that it's time to stand up. Now, getting back to David Knight, looking at the whole WikiLeaks thing, so much of it is, I think, though, almost even covering this, and I think it's good to do some, it makes it about what's really going on and almost gives into what they're planning instead of, hey, don't be spying on us, it's illegal, and not letting the NSA spin, this is being done for your safety, and point out that the globalists are behind most of the terror attacks. I think almost even the debate about the celebrity of these leakers and things, just from my media experience, almost gives into it.
I just want to see these documents released. And let me read from William Binney. He said, the public is entitled to this information. As I've said before, sunlight, transparency is the only thing that can bring the needed changes. It is the only cure. This is from a guy who left his comfortable position at a very high position at the NSA, and they came after him as a whistleblower. And he's been working at this ever since. We see just today that Woolsey comes out and says that Snowden should be hanged by the neck if convicted of a jury of his peers. Well, you know what? There isn't a jury in the secretive FISA court that these guys have created. At least he's talking about juries, but how about let's see James Clapper standing before a jury and Keith Alexander for lying to Congress, for violating their oath of office, for violating the Constitution. Let's see some of this, and let's get the most sensational, the most shocking stuff out now.
I agree. We need to see
tear off of this, like you said, sitting on a pile like Smaug the dragon. You know, I mean, it's like he's got this pile of gold that he's sitting on and he's doling it out. We need to get this information out. I'm not going to Brazil. You're not going to Brazil. We're staying here to fight for this country. And that's what we want to see happen, is we want to see this information come out. And you're right. We don't want to make this about Greenwald. We don't want to make it about Snowden. It has to be about, not even about the document pile. It needs to be about the NSA. And we've known all this for a long time. But it's all made about Snowden. Are we going to hang Snowden? Are we going to capture Snowden? Are we going to put Greenwald in jail? Is Greenwald going to get a big...
Well, here's the deal. If Greenwald wasn't being protected somehow, he'd have his wrist slit and pills put down his throat like Dr. David Kelly. So there's definitely a bunch of different groups here, and different factions are using it against each other. Right. I think that's more of what's going on here. But David Knight, thank you so much for that discussion, and you're continuing to do a great job on InfoWars Nightly News.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. And by the way, David's going to be doing next Friday's radio show in here live. I'll be here next Monday live. I'll be here tomorrow live and Sunday live, Lord willing. But we're going to have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday will be rebroadcast. But I'm going to tape whole segments at the start of each hour, at the start of the first hour, that are going to be special Christmas editions with some, we've never done that before, so we're going to have some original reports and info. David, I know you're taking care of a family and stuff with the cold that's going around and stuff, but if you want to do, instead of It's a Wonderful Life, It's a Federal Reserve Life, we've talked about doing some special reports and things for Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday of next week as well. Man, I got all these callers that are holding, and I just always go into overdrive now to take their calls. I'm going to do it again. Anthony in Texas, Faith in Louisiana, and then Eric in Michigan. I don't know if I'll get to Susan and Rocco. But I want to get to y'all. Just be ready. We're coming back in overdrive. Infowars.com/show to find the free audio video links. And don't forget, you can still order books, videos, Mason Iodine, coffee today, and get it before Christmas.
Today.
Or get a PrisonPlanet.tv membership, and that helps fund the First Amendment. Texas, you're on the air, sir.
Alex.
Yes.
Thanks for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
This whole Duck Dynasty debacle is just highlighting that we're really battling against principalities and powers. I called in, Alex, because you mentioned protecting your son from this spiritual filth. So I wanted to share some information.
Okay.
I'm Catholic, and I hope the Southern Poverty Law Center doesn't come knock down my door with their jackbooted thugs now. But anyway, Pope Paul VI wrote a beautiful encyclical against the sexual revolution called Humana Vitae, and anybody can look this up, but it reads like a prophecy. He warned about the Pandora's box this would open up. And now just look at the filth we have been taught in schools, the number of abortions, and people are just spiritually void, and people need Jesus. We've got to pray for our enemies, the Freemasons, all these people that are stuck in this occult activity. We've got to pray for these people because they're really on the line.
I hear you. I appreciate your call. I mean, the indoctrination of children of anything is wrong. The parents should be raising their children, not the state. But the state says our kids belong to them. It's just outrageous, folks. We've put up with so much, so the sky's the limit. Faith in Louisiana, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex. I just want to say thanks for doing what you do every day, and especially to your crew. I know they work hard. But I just want to say I live down in South Louisiana. We really look up to the guys in Duck Dynasty. And AMC or A&E had the opportunity of a lifetime if they would have backed him up.
Well, I mean, I'm going to write an article, I guess, because I want an article out about, or a video of calling for boycott. Now that's starting, and calling for that family to stand by their kin and leave the show and say, fine, you know what? You own your own printing press. This is your own deal. You tried to censor us. You did a deal, told us not to talk about God when that's what's popular anyways and what made it popular. And now you want to restrict what we do in our own private lives? Well, fine, tyrants. We'll take our hundreds of millions of dollars. We'll go start our own show on another cable system, and it'll defeat you. The answer is create your own system like we've done with Infowars.com. God bless you, Faith. Let's talk to Eric in Michigan. You're on the air, Eric. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex. Hey, I've tried to call a long time. I've been holding a long time on. Try to be brief. Richard Dean Anderson, the actor that played MacGyver, he also was on a show, SG Stargate, SG-1. There's a lot of parallels that you talk about all the time with that show. In particular, if you're not familiar, there's a race that they've met through their wormhole that's called the Ashen, and their basic plan is to make us better, but in the long run, they make it so we can't breed, and it's total control. There are a lot of parallels with everything that you've said. I've been listening for a couple years with that show, SG-1, Stargate, SG-1. I would love to hear a guy like Richard Dean Anderson or the producer of that show, Jonathan Glassner.
Interesting. I'd have to be familiar with it to do it, but we should focus more on pop culture because that's where the real battle's going on and the real programming is going on. Very interesting point.
Yes, sir. I've tried for a couple of years. I wanted to bring this up to you, and I've tried to call a bunch of times, but I'm glad I got through today. I know, it's separation by 7 degrees. Somebody out there somewhere is listening that knows those people individually, and I have to believe that they're listeners. Jonathan Glassner and Richard Dean Anderson.
Yeah, we have an incredible group of people listening. The thing is tracking them down, getting them on. I appreciate your call. I'm going to give them 45 seconds. Rocco, last caller. Sorry to Susan. Go ahead in North Carolina.
Alex, I've been amazed how big this push is for an Article 5 constitutional convention.
That's because they can rewrite the whole thing, and they got a lot of conservatives behind it, and I think it's a trap.
You know, Bruce Fine, who works for Ron Paul, is behind it. Glenn Beck just got on the bandwagon. Mark Levin is for this. Could I plug a website?
Well, they think because there's so many libertarians and patriots waking up, and I like Bruce Fine and all them. Let's get Bruce Fine on, if not tomorrow, on Monday about this, because we could debate a con, because that could be a way to reverse all this and all the bad amendments. But it could be, it's a gamble.